No matter what your circumstances are, no matter what stage of life you're in, this is the key to saving money on food. So no matter if you have little kids at home, no matter if you have big kids with 1,000 activities, no matter if you are a work from home mom, a work outside of the house mom, full-time house mom, full-time mom, or a dad, no matter what your circumstances are, this is the way you're going to save on food. So what is that way? It's by being realistic. So I know you're probably like, okay, that's not an actual tip to help me save money. Yes, it is. It is, in fact, a really good tip to help you save on money, all right? So if you are realistic, you are going to avoid wasting money. How are you going to avoid wasting money? And what do I mean by realistic? So what I mean by realistic is recognizing that stage of life you're in, what your family needs are, how much time you have to dedicate to dinner, to feeding your family, to even making lunches and breakfast. How much time do you have for that? If you are trying to save money and you're like, okay, I'm gonna make everything from scratch and I'm gonna cook super cheap, but you have 17 activities during the weekday evenings and you work full-time outside of the house, how are you going to do that? You're setting yourself up for failure. And then you're also setting yourself up for frustration and throwing in the towel and having a kitchen full of ingredients that you never use. So you're going to spend a lot of money on things you thought were going to save you money, and then you're going to waste that money. If you were unrealistic with your expectations of yourself and your time limits and your family needs. So number one thing to save money is to be realistic and make your food plan, your meal plans, your grocery list realistic for your family and your circumstances. One of my key points in a lot of my videos and in my product called the Simple Dinner Solution is that you have to budget. You have to balance your budget in real life, okay? So I'm not one of those accounts that's like, cook a lot of beans, but not only cook beans, but don't buy canned beans, buy the big bulk packages of beans and soak them overnight and then cook them for 8 hours. And then you have a meal that's super duper cheap. It's like less than $2. That's not realistic for me. If you can do that, great. I cannot do that. I work outside of the home. I have a toddler. I'm not. And I know I'm not going to do that. And if I try and do that, I'm gonna get mad and I'm just gonna go to the local Chinese restaurant instead. Okay, so like I'm not gonna do it. I know I'm not gonna do it. So I'm not even gonna try to make myself do it. That's a waste of my time, money, and mental energy. So realizing that it's just gonna help you. So again, I'm not one of those accounts that tells you to do things like that. If you want to do things like that, great, go look up those things. Make everything from scratch. However, here you're gonna find tips to balance those two things. So that Simple Dinner Solution is an ebook that I have that talks about the 5 principles, rules for myself that help me get dinner on the table 7 nights a week, most weeks out of the year. And I always say when I'm referencing that and inside that ebook that when I say cook dinner, I don't necessarily mean cook. I include things like frozen pizza because that's realistic for my life. And that is gonna help me eat at home rather than end up in a takeout line or a drive-through line. Could be a takeout line depending on where you pick up takeout, however it works. So rather than ending up in the Chick-fil-A line, I'm gonna buy frozen pizzas for like Friday nights when I'm super tired and I know I'm just not gonna cook dinner, and those are gonna cost me half the price of Chick-fil-A. Are they more expensive than a homemade dinner, even a homemade pizza? Absolutely. Am I gonna make homemade pizza on a Friday night when I'm exhausted? Absolutely not. So that's where that comes in. It's like a middle ground. It's not the cheapest option, but it's not the most expensive option. And if I aim for the cheapest option and miss, I'm gonna end up doing the most expensive option, which is not great. And it's wasted the money on the food I bought and I'm spending money on Chick-fil-A. So how do you address this issue and like implement it in your actual life? So first, sit down and decide how many nights a week you want to cook dinner at home. But look at how many times you actually have dinner at home right now, realistically. And don't bump that number up too much. Maybe bump it up one night a week. If you eat at home 3 nights a week right now, don't aim for 7. Aim for 4. Or maybe 5 if one of those is like a frozen meal from the grocery store or like rotisserie chicken in a bag salad. All of those things totally count as eating at home, okay? You don't have to have a recipe even for it to count as eating at home. If you are in your house eating something that's not takeout, that totally counts as eating at home. If you purchased it at the grocery store, brought it home, and then prepared it, no matter how easy it is, even if it's one of those like trays of food that you just throw into the oven, that counts as eating at home because, again, even though it's more expensive than the ingredients you would prep yourself, it's cheaper than takeout or fast food. All right, so looking at that, how many days do you currently successfully make dinner in whatever form for your family? Add 1. Start with adding 1, all right? Maybe 2 if you're gonna add like a frozen dinner night. And then address what your plan is going to be for those other nights. Are you going to have planned nights out? Are you going to add more freezer meals? Are you going to double a dinner one night and have it those extra nights? Are you going to have one of those, what do they call it? Yo-yo dinners, you're on your own, where you like grab random ingredients from the fridge and figure it out, or you make leftovers, or you make a bowl of cereal or something like that. If you have teenagers, that's a great option. They can do those things, or they can go out with their friends. They can go pick up their own food and pay for it with their own money, right? So yo-yo nights could be a part of your plan also. So deciding what your goal is, that is a realistic goal. And then you're gonna work on stretching that goal and increasing that number of nights at home in an easy, realistic way. So again, if you are running to like multiple activities during the week, you have kids on multiple sports teams, multiple kids on multiple sports, things like that, or doesn't have to be sports, you know, music lessons, theater, ballet, scout, whatever's going on, you're running all over the place. Maybe you can do crock pot meals. Maybe you can't. A lot of crock pot meals say to cook it for like 6 hours. If you leave the house to head to work at 8 a.m. and you don't get home till 5, that's more than 8 hours. That's 9 hours. Sure, it's close, but 6 to 8 hours, like you're gonna have a mushy, not tasty dinner. So some crock pots do have an option where you can turn it to warm, so maybe look into investing in that, right? But also look into other options. Maybe you have one of those meal kits a couple of days a week. That works. Maybe you do what I call semi-homemade dinners. I actually sell a pre-made meal plan with semi-homemade dinners. So it'll be things like you buy some frozen chicken and a bottle of like Panda Express orange sauce, and then you have frozen broccoli and rice. That comes together really quickly, and even like a later elementary school kid can throw a package of frozen chicken onto a cookie sheet and put it in the oven, you know? They can start a rice cooker. Cooking rice can be tricky. Invest in a rice cooker. Those things are so cheap, and it saves me a lot. I love my rice cooker because one of our go-to easy meals is stir fry. Whether I make it homemade or whether we do, like I love the frozen orange chicken at Aldi. It's really good. And then I'll make, or my husband will make roasted broccoli from frozen and then put rice in the rice cooker, and that meal comes together super quick. And again, it's a ton cheaper than even like Panda Express, let alone your local Chinese restaurant. So plan nights out, half-cooked semi-homemade meals, or even meal kits, and then freezer meals are all great ways to save money by eating dinner at home in a realistic manner. So what if your problem is you suck at meal planning? And that is okay, you can suck at meal planning. Again, I sell pre-made meal plans, but what are some other options? You could buy pre-made meal plans from someone else. You don't have to buy my pre-made meal plans. I think you should, and they're actually on sale, 25% off right now. But you can buy them from anyone. You can sign up for Easy Meals, I think is what it's called, or just e-meals, something like that. And they'll send you different ideas every month. And where was I going with that? Oh yes, if you suck at meal planning, you can buy pre-made meals. You can make yourself a rotating meal plan. You can brain dump a bunch of dinners your family likes, sort it into like groups of 3 or 4, however many meals you think you're realistically gonna cook at home, and then put that in a rotation, like week 1, these 3 meals, week 2, these 3 meals, week 3, these 3 meals, week 4, however many weeks you can come up with. There's lots of different meal planning methods. One of my first videos on this channel was about different meal planning methods, and it's actually, since I was totally new here on YouTube, it's not a great video. I'm gonna link it here, but I'm gonna refilm that one, so be sure to subscribe for upcoming videos where I'm gonna give lots more tips on this realistic budget living idea, right? Realistically saving money on food. But to make meal planning easier, yeah, you can buy pre-made ones, you can rotate through the same meals over and over again, or you can even do, and I talked more about this in the other video, you can even do a capsule meal plan where you just keep ingredients for all sorts of things in your house at all times, so you can throw it together when you feel like it and you don't actually have to decide what's for dinner. That way it can be a little tricky if you have like a bunch of fresh ingredients, you do have to use them up, or if you're okay with like popping into the grocery store, you're like, hey, this sounds good for dinner tonight. We have everything except a fresh red bell pepper. I'm gonna pop into the store and buy a fresh red bell pepper. Chances are you're probably gonna pick up a few other things when you're there. That's the caveat with doing a plan that style where you have to run to the store like that. You're probably gonna buy other things when you're at the store because that's just how we are, right? Something catches our eye, or we go to the store and we're like, do I have that? Can't remember, let's buy another one just in case. But yeah, this is a short, sweet video because it really is like one simple thing that will save you so much money. Be realistic. It's kind of like diet and exercise. If you're like, I'm gonna cut all these calories and I'm gonna start eating super clean and I'm gonna work out 7 days a week, and you currently work out 0 days a week, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're gonna throw in the towel, you're gonna push yourself too far, you're gonna get overwhelmed, you're gonna beat yourself up for not meeting your goal, and you're gonna give up. And that's totally understandable. So don't do that. Just don't set yourself up for failure, right? Start with a realistic goal and then work on the next one, and then work on the next one. If you want some more ideas for what I call emergency dinners, I'll link a video here where I share a bunch of my backup, super easy, dinner that I had planned is not gonna happen meals. That's another way to be realistic. So maybe you do plan dinners and then something comes up. Maybe you were planning on cooking a home cooked meal and you get stuck in traffic on your way home that's like extra bad and you're gonna be home late. Or your kid forgot to tell you that they have an extra practice this week or an extra rehearsal this week. Or you just don't feel like it, you had a rough day. These meals, I'm probably not gonna link it twice, but it was up there before. Scroll back a little bit in the video. These meals are great to have on hand as backup, but they're also great to just have as part of your meal rotation when you're trying to eat at home more. Maybe you have like 1 or 2 of these meals a week. You don't know what day you're gonna have them versus going out. Maybe you plan to go out twice a week, have these frozen backup dinners on hand twice a week, and then the other days you're gonna cook. And you don't know what's gonna fall where. That's okay. Meal planning doesn't mean on Mondays we're going to have this, on Tuesdays we're going to have this. No, that's not what it means. I'm also going to redo a video about meal planning myths and how that's not how it really works. So again, subscribe and stay tuned for that. And yeah, those are the ways that you can be realistic to save yourself money where you aren't spending money on your unrealistic ideas and then also spending money on actually feeding your family food that's cooked, whether it be from Chick-fil-A or a frozen pizza or whatever. But yeah, that's the ticket to saving money, period. Being realistic, but especially when it comes to your food budget, you've got to be realistic and realize where you are in life. And no shame, no guilt. Like if you don't cook it all in a week and it's only frozen meals or meal kits or takeout, okay. Like if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. Just accept that and work on the ways to make that as cheap as can be. Maybe make a list of days and restaurants kids eat free in your community, you know? Maybe figure out the best meal kit or get a Costco or Sam's Club membership to get their things. Whatever works for your family. It does not have to be cooked from scratch, homemade meals to be feeding your family on a budget, no matter what some other accounts may say. Yes, that's the way to save the most. But again, if it's not realistic, you're not saving money. You may even end up spending more money. All right, I hope you found this video helpful. And one more time, please subscribe to see all, and turn on notifications to see all my upcoming videos to help you realistically save time, money, and sanity when it comes to feeding your family.